What's up YouTube, Dirt here from Zephyr War Games, and today I'm going to bring you my branded Bystial profile. Now this is not going to be for the faint-hearted. There are a lot of very expensive cards in this deck, sadly, but I will talk about alternatives that you can swap some out in order to kind of play it on a more budget-friendly level. But the deck is crazy. It's resource management, it's graveyard recursion, and its form that it can interrupt a lot of the main meta decks right now in the format is crazy. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more upcoming content. So we start off with, of course, the Despias. We are playing triple Aluba alongside double Tragedy, which I'll explain in a second, one Adler and one Despia Comedy. Now, the Comedy is pretty much in here because you've got a lot of cards that target stuff. So you'll be looking at Imperms, you've got Veilers that is sometimes find its way back into the deck. You've got Sulliak as well. If you don't feel that your locals is going to be target heavy, you can cut this card out very easily and it will take you from a 45 card deck down more. Of course, we've got two Albaz and then the one sub Albaz, and that is, of course, the Albion, the Shrouded Dragon. Now, I still quite like this, and purely the reason why, and I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit in the profile to show you, is I am also playing the Merry Carrier, which is why I'm playing 2 and 2. And the reason I've done this is because I quite like gaining as much advantage as possible off of an Allure of Darkness. You can add this back from the Banished Zone as well, so it gives you a form of interruption. It does count as an additional hand trap, and the best thing about this is if your opponent doesn't have Light or Darks or anything, you can still banish this from the graveyard with your Bystials and then gain advantage because it will let you add a card that lists Fallen of Albaz or a monster that lists Fallen of Albaz. So it will get you back to this guy, it can get you into Fallen of Albaz itself, or of course if you wanted to, you can play the one Cartesia and it can search her out as well. It's not a mandatory. This is something you can completely cut and change out if you want to. The same with Comedy. The only ones that I'd say with mandatory are probably this lineup here. And even then, you could arguably cut an Aluba for a third Tragedy. But you could go 3 and 3 as well. So that's it for like the Despia monsters and of course the Albaz monsters. Moving on to the Bystials. Now it can be played with one. It's been proven that it can be played with one Lubellion, but I picked up a second one. I don't own a third, so I'm definitely be playing it at 2. Like, this engine is absolutely mad, and shamefully and sadly, this is a £20 super. I can understand why, because it is just incredibly powerful. Like, the fact that this plus the Soronir or the Druid Worm all have quick effects if your opponent controls a monster to banish a light or dark from either graveyard, summon themselves down. The Soronir is a foolish burial for your monsters or branded spells or traps. Your Druid Worm is when it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it can then send a monster, a special monster your opponent controls, to the graveyard. And the Magnum Art just constantly during the end phase will search other dragons. So obviously you can search yourself, you can search out another Lubellion, you can search out Saranor, which is why more Lubellions makes consistency. Not to mention, Lubellion will let you set or activate face up a continuous branded spell or trap, which is insane. We don't have many that are that effective, but the two that we do have in the form of, when I get to it, Branded Beast and of course the Branded Regained are absolutely insane, because again, if you've comboed off and you've used your Soronir to put the Regained in the graveyard, your Branded Beast can bring this back. You've got the ability to recur your resource in the graveyard plus draw, and then this is a form of popping these and destroying cards on the field. So this is your out to Mystic Mine, this is out to Floodgates. It's really, really cool, really, really powerful, and I absolutely love it. And because I've played this engine today quite a lot, and I've seen and physically got to use it for the first time in a tournament, it actually makes me want to play the Dragon Link version as well, just so that I can kind of comprehend and mix around the weaknesses of this deck, the strengths of that deck, and see which one comes out better. So that's it for the Bystial monsters and their spells. The other monsters that we do play, or that I do play, is the triple Castria Fenrir. It is what it is. Like, the card is incredibly powerful. It's a free extender going first or second, less so an extender in this deck, but just a free monster on the board, 2400 beta, 2400 defender, and a form of interruption. So really, really good, really, really powerful, and the fact you can just search itself means that if your opponent clears your board, you've got fodder, it can keep coming back. If they don't clear your board, you've got free discard fodder. I just think it's really, really good, but again, it's like a £60, £70 card, which is absolutely ridiculous. So if you don't have it, you don't need to worry, you can cut it out completely, because like I said, it's a 45 card deck. This is just, let's play all the bells and whistles. For the hand traps, we've got triple Ash Blossom, and unlike a lot of other profiles around, I've actually kept the one Ra's Disciple in. I do play the Incursion, and the reason I do this is literally going first. If you give your opponent a Ra's Disciple, if they can't stop it, then they're pretty much going to lose. Now, obviously, the higher competitive level you play, the more easier it's going to be for them to disrupt it, because they're going to have stuff like the Bystials to deal with it. They'll have other ways. But the fact that you put this on your opponent's board and they can't tribute, they can't summon, or they can't special summon, it really causes them a lot of issues. And if you put all your stuff in defense, they can't even put this to attack and then try and crash it and kill it. So, yeah, it's incredibly powerful. I've seen a lot of people cutting it, and I understand why, because the combo is you'd activate Branded Fusion and you would send this. But now, you're going to activate Branded Fusion and you're going to send the Lubellion, and that's where it just gets insane, because there's combos with Lubellion where it can send your Albion on the board to the graveyard, summon itself back, get you the Branded Trap card. Albion will then trigger in the end phase, can get you any Branded spell or trap you want. So I can understand why. I just feel that going first, like, it's such an incredibly powerful combo that it would be silly not to play it. So, yeah, it comes down to personal preference, but I like the idea of still playing it with the Incursion. For the spell cards, triple Law of Darkness, like, nothing feels better than banishing a Tragedy or a Merry Carrier off the back of this, because you just get free advantage. Triple Branded Fusion, pretty straightforward on that one. Triple Branded Opening. And then for the Wonders, we've got the one Theatre, the one Lost. I still really, really rate this card. Like, the fact that your opponent cannot negate your fusion summons, it means as soon as this is resolved, they can't toad you, they can't, like, yes, Ash is still a big weakness, but it means your entire chains are protected. You activate Branded Fusion, they can't Judgment it, they can't toad it, they can't just outright negate it. And then on the second chain, when you start making your Lubellions and your Albions, you protect your entire chain going upwards, and obviously it makes it even better because you've got your Albion Dragon, and of course you've got your Merry Carrier. So then you're able to search out a Merry Carrier that's then going to protect anything else that you do outside of the summon chain. So I think it's really, really good. The Theatre's in here because if you do get to it, or you already open up Branded Fusion, and you decide to get this off of your Alubra instead, you still have ways of being able to perform a fusion summon without your opponent ending your turn outright. One Branded Red, again, I've seen people play two, completely fine. I would then probably cut the Theatre for it, but I quite like the one at the moment, especially with the Bystials. I'm still trying to get the ratios correct, but I feel that one is fine for me personally. One Cool Bite and the one Foolish. So obviously the Foolish can help set you up your Banish fodder with your Merry Carrier. It can help set you up your Lubellion plays. It can also help you set up your Tragedy plays. So really, really good and important on that one as well. Moving on to the trap cards, I am playing 4 trap cards. Obviously you've already seen the Branded Beast. I am playing the one Sword. Now this is purely in here for the send it to the graveyard with the Albion Dragon, banish it to add back the Merry Carrier combo. I've seen a lot of people play Retribution, which is completely fine as well, because that'll let you add back any branded spell or trap. So I can understand Retribution. I'm playing around with this and Retribution to see which one I prefer, and then kind of go from there. The last two we've got is the one Branded Banishment and of course the one Expulsion. Obviously the Expulsion is the one that gives you your Ra's Disciple combo. Really, really powerful, really, really good. So again, if you don't play that, you take this out straight away. You can probably cut the deck down to a 40 card deck. But I still really like this play. I still think it's incredibly powerful and works out really, really well. So, again, it will depend on your local environment or the environment you're playing in as to whether or not you change that or not. Moving on to the extra deck, I've got double Mirror Jade, double Albion, double Lubellion, and the one Albalonatus. Now, I know a lot of you be like, well, hang on a minute, during your first combo, you should be going through at least one of these, and then you still need a target to send off your Mirror Jade, so why aren't you playing 3 of this? And the answer is, I've gone with a 2, 2, 2, and 1, for the pure fact that this actually does come up sometimes. Again, you can normal summon your Albaz, you can clear an entire Dragon board. If your opponent's got an entire Bystial board, you can clear that off as well. Sometimes, again, it's just alternatives for when your fusion, Branded Fusion does get stopped, you do still have a way to play. I'm not saying it's the best alternative, but it does give you a follow-up on these if you need it. For the Despias, of course, we've got 2 Masquerades, 1 Quinteris and the 1 Proskinian. Honestly, I'd probably get rid of the Proskinian. I've never made it this turn. It's a really good super body target, but unless you're going to start diving into the side deck to do that, it really doesn't have as much board advantage as you think. Borrelo Furious Dragon, so shout out to Solemn, I believe it's like Solemn Circus on YouTube. They had someone on there that had topped a regional with this, and I love the idea of this, because the idea is you can make Lubellion, and then Lubellion can spin back your Bystials to the deck. So it gives you a way of recurring them resources, which I really, really like. Not that you desperately need it, but it is just an option, and it is a form of disruption as well. So really kind of cool tech, and so shout out to them on that one. I like that. And then the one Guardian Chimera, the one Dracus Tepelia, I mean, it's a bit meh. And then the last one I've only added in just now is the Wallow Founder of the Druid's Dragon. Now, the reason I've put this in here is there were a couple of times through testing where I was stopped going into my fusion plays. I had 2 Bystials on the board. Yes, it's not something you always want to go into, but the idea that you can steal your opponent's spells and traps, or you can still like banish your opponent's monsters, I thought was really cool. So it's something I'm taking out. If you don't do it, then you go more for a Super Poly route. Then you can take this out, you put in a Super Poly target, and then your Super Polys will be going into your main or the side deck, depending on how you want to play it. And that's pretty much it for the profile. It's still something that I'm tweaking around with and playing around and seeing what other options I can make. But it's definitely kind of highlighted how cool the Bystials are for me. And I'm going to kind of see where else I can take this. I'm definitely going to build the Dragon Link version and see kind of what other alternatives and options this can give me as well, because I like the idea of being able to go into synchro. So this would be like your Bystial fusion route, and then the other one will be your branded your Bystial synchro route, which I quite like the idea of being able to kind of like double up and get the best of both like summoning mechanics. So I think that's really kind of cool, and I can't wait to see where else this can go. Obviously we do get a new Bystial card, I believe, in the new year, so again, it will be interesting to see if that adapts it or not. And then, yeah, kind of go from there. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, stay safe. And, of course, happy dueling.